has been a failure of the ABS.
This was an angry PM this morning, laying the boot into the Australian Bureau of Statistics for basically doing what the sewage truck in Russia did this week. I might be paraphrasing, but essentially that car there, according to Turnbull, that was the Australian people.
The ABS inconvenienced millions of Australians. Shouldn't have happened, right? I'm not happy about it. None of us are.
The online census was meant to knock $100 million off the cost of the census, bringing it down to $330 million. Instead, it has confirmed the so-called tinfoil hat concerns of many Australians that the government is incapable of collecting our data without being compared to an exploding Russian sewage truck on a primetime national news show. So, 2 days in, what do we know about this fail? Well, according to the PM, technically the site never reached capacity, receiving at its peak 150 completed forms per second when it was set up to receive 260 forms. Instead, the cause of the site going down was an inadequate system being run by the ABS and designed by IBM.
You're probably not very happy about this, but having said that, the ABS was dealing with one of the largest technology computer companies in the world that handled the online census previously.
But the PM continued to talk about a malicious denial of service attack from overseas, despite admitting the routine and shouldn't have caused an outage.
The information I have today is that they appeared to be coming from the United States. That does not, of course, mean that the people involved or entities involved were American.
So now the question is, when will the Australian people actually know responsible for the exploding sewage truck that was Census 2016?
Which heads roll where and when will be determined once the review is complete.
Well, Patrick Gray is a cybersecurity journalist who says there's no need to wait for a review because he already knows exactly why the site crashed, and he joins us now. Give it to us, Patrick, in layman's terms. What happened?
In layman's terms, what happened was atrocious planning combined with bad decisions. You know, it's such a half-truth for the ABS to have come out and blamed this on hackers. Yes, there was some, denial of service track directed towards the census website, but that is every day on the internet. That's what you plan for. And in this case, IBM and the ABS did not take appropriate measures. So I was quite stunned actually to hear Malcolm Turnbull on radio this morning actually admitting to that, but they just didn't plan for it. And this is something that in the year 2016 you really do have to plan for.
So what actually went on?
Well, they didn't actually contract with their upstream telecommunications provider to handle what we call DDoS mitigation. What they didn't do was actually get a professional, well-done service to take care of that for them, and they winged it. And they had a DDoS mitigation plan, which they referred to. And when you actually look at the mechanics of the plan, it was laughable. It was essentially, their plan was to essentially instruct their upstream provider to block traffic from out of Australia. And then, of course, there was a small attack from within Australia that would have been easily swatted away by most contemporary, anti-DDoS solutions. Because that wasn't in place, it just caused them all sorts of trouble. There's a really interesting twist to this, which is while this was happening, some of their other equipment started spitting out alerts saying that data was being exfiltrated from the census website. So at that point, they thought they'd been hacked, and that's when they took the decision to pull the pin.
Patrick, I don't want to stop understanding a long time ago. I don't want to openly call you a spy either, but how do you know all this stuff?
Look, I've been an information security journalist in Australia for something like 15 years, and, if you're bouncing around what is essentially a fairly, it's a discipline where a lot of people know a lot of people, and I spoke to a few of my chums and they told me things.
OK, I'm going to see if I understood what you said then. Can you tell me if what I'm saying is right? So they're sitting there, they're watching people complete the census, then they see this little attack that's come from within inside Australia that happens to lots of websites all the time. They freak out a little bit, they go to deal with that. In the meantime, they start thinking that they're getting hacked. So then in the middle of getting a message saying they pull the plug on the whole thing, and it turns out they weren't really getting hacked, but they've shut the whole system down. They've pressed Control-Alt-Delete and the whole thing's gone to crap, yeah?
Look, you captured the chaos. It's one very important detail where you may have tripped up a bit, which is that small attack wasn't what freaked them out. The small attack they couldn't even deal with because they hadn't done the adequate prep. I mean, this was amateur hour on a scale of which I have just never seen. The mind boggles when you look at how substantially they screwed up. It's borderline impressive.
Well, Patrick, it's back up now. Will you be filling out your personal details online now that it's back up?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, there's plenty of ways to get your personal details compromised, so why not just, you know, in for a penny, in for a pound. I'll throw them into the census website as well.
Well, thanks for helping us get our heads around it, Patrick.